Hi everyone. Today is July the 7th in the year 2020, and I'm going to share with you a conversation that took place yesterday on July the 6th, about 4:30 in the morning. And I'm calling it a call to arms because that's how it felt. The noise you hear in the background is a fan. It's quite hot here today, so that's what's going on. I will read it, and I will share with you any insights that came through as the words came through after I'm complete. I asked if there was anyone who wanted to connect, and I heard, "It is I, it is one." And I said, "Thank you for coming forward. Hello." And I heard this. There is a reason for this. The reason informs you of background details and facts that help explain events on the ground. These are the things you see. They are explained by the things you don't see. What occurs on the surface of Earth, and right now, is an alteration. The hands of control themselves are changing. This is difficult for you to see accurately, because these hands of control were out of sight for you always. You felt them and understood how things operated, but did not know who was behind the movements. The term, quote, hidden hand applies. It tells you that something else is going on, something unseen. This will be the most difficult part for people to accept. I refer here to those of the race who have not yet awakened. Those who accept the, quote, story on face value. You know this is true, yet for many of you who now see these words, you've known for a long time. It will help you to remember when it was your first wake up to the truth. Quotes around wake up. I'm sorry, I read that incorrectly. It will help you to know when it was you first woke up to the truth. Quotes around woke up. It was hard to believe, and you had to do so gradually. You took time to do so. Today's asleep individuals have much more a difficult task in front of them. They have been more intentionally driven to deceit. They have been conditioned not only to falsehoods as truth, but also to truth as enemy and truth as bad. They have accepted that truth is the false narrative of a hateful group of extremists, and they willingly have gotten behind the fight against these hateful extremists with energy, sometimes money, and with belief. It is like they've been intentionally deeply controlled in a more sinister and sophisticated fashion, and indeed they have. It is important for you to fully grasp the level of sophistication of the controllers, of the hidden hand, of those unseen who actually do run things on Earth. They have orchestrated a complete takeover of places other than Earth. This Earth project became one of their more challenging and interesting because of the brilliance of the human. New techniques were developed. They thought they had it under control. The idea that they do not have it under control is a foreign one. It is not in their vernacular to lose. You are dealing with a race of dominating and fierce fighters whose only purpose is to be victorious. Nothing will stop them. They will have to be removed so that there is no longer a hidden hand running things. Think about a player piano. You hear it in the distance, and it is synchronized and in tune and sounds beautiful. as song after song is played without error. Then you enter the room, and you see no one sitting at the keys. It has been pre-programmed to perform. Until you got close enough to actually witness this fact, you would not have believed it. Such is the truth of the hidden hand. Their methods of control use confusion, illusion, delusion, and chemicals. For many of you hearing now, you hear the rhetoric and see the manipulation in it, yet, and this is the reason for discussing it once more, you perhaps do not see the levels of sophistication behind it and pushing these techniques. You as a race have been studied ad nauseum. Every reaction is dissected, and every stimulus has been tested on all ages and for many years. There is no shortage of, quote, scientists willing to abuse and torture humans, all for the sake of, quote, science. There is no shortage. Even today, you will find humans so separated from their own humanity as to have no hesitation here in pushing the limits of physical and psychological torture. None. You will have to accept this truth. There will be those who refuse to go there, to certain places, due to the cruelty present. I tell you this, if it can be imagined, it can be considered, it can be thought of, and it can be done. The humans who have completed these experiments have a level of understanding for how the human mind works that is machine-like. Predictable reactions are called forth in order to complete their agenda. These techniques include psychological manipulation. They include what you've labeled false flags. They include repetition of similar rhetoric enough times so that it is no longer heard but only reacted to. The illusion of authority is critical to this level of control. What you see happening in many of the, quote, free countries and now is that they have abandoned in many cases all pretense of being nice and have begun to employ brute force and to bill it as necessary in order to maintain a quality they do not care about. All this is done to maintain control. All of this is done to create a loyal army willing to die for a cause. It is important to speak the truth now. Those of you who have a place to do it as often as possible, the opportunity is long past for subtlety. You can see that by the obvious over-the-top methods utilized by the controllers. In order to help awaken a sleeping populace, they must be prodded again and again and again with alternate information, with other facts, with other voices of authority. This does not have to be shouted at them. This has to be consistent and out loud. The hidden hand was revealed, has revealed. The hidden hand has revealed and is revealing its endgame. And the writing is on the wall. Those of you who can read it now must do so out loud and often. No longer can you afford to hide. You have reached the final push. This is not business as usual. You'll need a plan and an intention because by every means your controllers have one. I'm going to read that again. You have reached the final push. This is not business as usual. You'll need a plan and an intention because by every means your controllers have one. Be clear on this truth. They will not succeed in a takeover here. That much is clear. The road to that end contains many possible shortcuts and breakdowns, however. It is up to your efforts and right now to steer this towards the most efficient and accurate route. Do not become a roadblock to truth. Your silence now is no longer necessary. Be loving, be consistent, be clear. There has been a method employed of, quote, see something, say something. It is time for you to do so. It is not necessary to force these morsels of alternate reality into unsuspecting mouths. The race is hungry and now becomes famished for solutions, for accuracy, for facts that offer enlightenment and help. Do all that you can to supply these things. As the sheer amount of available truth increases and surrounds the populace, they won't be able to help themselves from trying some. As was said, the race is starving, and it is inevitable. Be gentle, be compassionate, be relentless. The force of truth is real. It cannot be overtaken by lies. It rises to the top, always. You've reached the part when effort and participation are called for. The controllers utilize polarization to achieve their end. Polarization is a false construct. It does not hold up to unity. Oneness is truth. Oneness is a thing the Draco have never seen, and it has therefore never been factored into any of their plans. Regardless of how brilliant their methods may be, to leave out of them your core truth is their fatal flaw. It is the moment to activate that inner motivation, your deep resonance and love for each other, your knowing of oneness, your core truth. It is time. Trust, dear human, and love always. I am complete. I'm going to read that end again because for me that was a real beautiful summary of why I'm recording this. You've reached the part when effort and participation are called for. The controllers utilize polarization to achieve their end. Polarization is a false construct. It does not hold up to unity. Oneness is truth. Oneness is a thing the Draco have never seen, and it has therefore never been factored into any of their plans. Regardless of how brilliant their methods may be, to leave out of them your core truth is their fatal flaw. It is the moment to activate that inner motivation, your deep resonance and love for each other, your knowing of oneness, your core truth. It is time. Trust, dear human, and love always. And that was it. And so I wanted to share it because it felt a call to arms might not be the most accurate way to portray it, but because there's no weapons involved, but there is truth involved, and that is what you hold. And what I saw when this was coming the other morning was I saw an onslaught of consistent alternate information. Many of you have spoken to me, and I've read other people who say the same thing, that their family members are buying the rhetoric, believing things that are just stories, manufactured, quote, facts to control the populace in a specific way to achieve specific ends. There are many stories out there. There are many narratives that have partial truths in them, have definitely all have agendas behind them. I mean, we have to know that. We have to realize that. But we also have to honor the things that resonate with us and share them, even if it's just posting things you never did before on Facebook, on Twitter, sending emails to people that have stories in them that you find interesting. You don't have to engage in arguments about being this person or left or right or progressive or conservative or whatever. You don't have to get into those arguments. There's enough examples out there that will supply you with information you can share. I just read, it's on the afternoon on Tuesday the 7th of July, and I read something this morning that shocked me. That came from Australia. It was a newscast about 9 subdivisions, not subdivisions, housing units being boarded up because of COVID outbreaks and being policed in much the way that it was happening in China in January. Now, that never made this news feed in this country. This is the United States. It never made it here at the time. You could only see that coming directly from Chinese citizens on WeChat. And that stopped. I think March 1st, they ended all communications from China. So we don't know what happened after that. But that was happening. Now, that seems unreal that in the country of Australia that they could enforce something like that, and yet they have. There are so many conflicting studies or reports of studies about this virus, and it is being used to justify all sorts of crimes against freedom. That it's horrifying. And so I just wanted to share it with you guys because it will be shared eventually in print. There will probably be another book in September because there's been almost every night conversations. It's just too much. The volume of it is too large to put out there every day. But when it comes like this, I just feel like we need to know. So we all need to know. We need to know now. So there you have it. Do what you can. I do feel like July is a pivotal month based on just the urgency of some of the conversations I've been hearing and having. So hang in there, everybody. Hold each other close, and I love you. Thank you.